Hello everyone, Tesla Trooper here, bringing you another Commander Wars replay. Today's matchup is between myself and Cairn, playing as Sabaki and Cairn on A Hope Forlorn, which is an Advanced Wars by Web map. Each side has a strong corner and a weak corner. The strong positions being the northeast and southwest positions, which open to the mid as well as the opponent's weak side. However, the weak side does have access to an airport and comm tower to supplement. Before we get started here, we're going to take a look at the COs that are going to be playing this match. First up, we have Sabaki, who's a former Yellow Comet CO that has since transferred to Amber Corona. Her day-to-day ability within her co-zone is when her units attack, they have a small percentage lifesteal, and her power and superpower further increase this effect all the way up to full damage dealt. Her power is 3 stars, while her superpower is an additional 3 stars, and her co-zone range is 3, which is pretty standard. Sabaki's special unit is a crystal tank, which is a black hole Rigin. It has a super laser for a primary weapon, which when it damages a unit, it will steal a percentage of health from it. It costs 14 grand to produce, and it has a movement range of 5. Next up, we have Cairn. I believe she's originally from Blue Moon, but currently she's residing with Brown Desert. Her day-to-day ability gives her additional terrain stars on wilderness terrain, but at the cost of reducing firepower while on urban terrain. Her power, Call of the Wild, is a 2-star power, which enables her to move across wilderness terrain easily, and also increases her unit's indirect range and vision by 1 when they are on wilderness terrain. Her superpower, Force of Nature, is an additional 3 stars, and enables her units to gain 1 HP per wilderness tile crossed, increases her firepower by 10%, and lowers enemy defenses by 10% for each wilderness terrain star. Her special unit is going to be the Ranger unit. It synergizes well with other indirect units, but will not be making a debut until the next patch. And with that, let's get the tanks rolling. So starting off in the top right, we have myself as Sabaki, and Cairn is playing in the player 2 position as Cairn. So starting off, we both produce 2 infantry, and then moving on to the second turn, we produce infantry and a motorbike in the weak position. Opening up, I was really indecisive with what I wanted to do with the infantry down on the bottom. It was one of those things I thought I wanted to capture the city there, but in all honesty I should have probably gone for the airport first. It would have helped with the problems I endure later on. So on day 4, Cairn decides to open up his bike rather, and to take the comm tower. He has it for quite a long while, and it helps with his initial engagements when pushing my position to the south, where rather than getting the comm tower, I decided to go for cities. Day 6 for me. At this point, we both had recons on the field, and Cairn was starting to push his south towards mine, and I wanted to counter with one of my own so that I could potentially block any early aggression and punish any infantry units that moved too close to my lines down there. Cairn responds pretty cautiously with the recon. He doesn't push it too far to stay out of range of my own recon, and he starts pushing up north to get to the airport, which he's going to capture a whole day before I do. On my turn, I end up moving my tank down to the capital. He builds a tank on his strong side, and I built an APC down there to help ferry my infantry units around. So my tank out of the capital needs to push south to help support that flank in the meantime. So Cairn's still playing pretty cautiously down south, moves his recon up a little bit, but everything's still under the umbrella of the light tank that he has down there. And at this point, it's a very tough decision to try and cap the comm tower later in the next turn. Up north, I've bought artillery and a sniper unit, and in the weak position, I ended up buying a mech, which I will ferry down south to help supplement. Cairn makes his move down south, pushing his tank forward and his recon a couple spaces behind it, while moving up his infantry into capturing positions, and leaves his sniper relatively safe, so there's nothing that I can do about him. While up north, he starts pressuring the cities on the top of the map with his a bike unit against my infantry, delaying the capture of that city. So, turn 9, I decide to start capping the comm tower with my mech. It will survive a hit from either the tank or the recon, and then with his tank out of position, I engaged his infantry unit that was capturing on the lower portion of the mid with my commander light tank now, preventing him from capturing that city. Up in the north, I engage the motorbike with one of my full health infantry and continue the capture of the other city there with my half health infantry, just so I can ensure that I can continue capturing and gaining properties. In the south, Cairn decides to move on my infantry down, or move on my recon rather down there, and engage my bike unit with his recon to delay the capture of the comm tower. So the previous turn, Cairn decided to produce a heavy tank, which he will put his commander in and bring towards the middle of the map. He brings a couple more infantry into the mid and starts capping as well, but he will not be able to prevent my light tank from attacking again next turn because his medium tank is out of range and his light tank is out of position attacking near my comm tower. Beginning at turn 10, up in the north front, I move my infantry up and engage the motorcyclist again to help secure my capture of the city up there. In addition to that, I also put my artillery unit into position to secure the cap and also protect the other 2 infantry that I have on the front line from being attacked without a response from my units. And then I move down to the mid with my 2 infantry and engage and destroy one of Cairn's units that is capturing the city there, as well as engaging another infantry with my commander tank as well, destroying it. Does manage to destroy the bike on the comm tower and move one of his infantry units on it to attack the low health infantry unit that I attacked the tank with. His recon and his tank there, however, are in range of both my tank and helicopter that I have put in position and produced the previous turn. Next, he decides to bring his medium tank down to the southern front. At this point, it's not committed to either direction, as it can either support his push in the south or it can move center to threaten my infantry and other tanks that I have up there. Starting my turn, I open up with my attack helicopter and destroy the 5 health tank that he had down by my comm tower, and I put my recon on the city to heal it up a little bit. I do engage the recon with my light tank unit. It is safe from the medium tank at this point, unless he has his power, which he does not. And then I decide to take my CO tank up north, out of range of his heavy tank, and engage more infantry that he has around up there to try and reduce the threat of him slowing down my cap. So beginning of turn 11 for Cairn here, he decides to open up with his recon and put some chip damage on my recon with the sniper and his recon to allow for the destruction with his infantry unit. And then he decides to take his medium tank into the middle and destroy my bike unit that I had capturing the center city there. He responded to the air threat a little aggressively the previous turn, building 2 anti-aircraft guns, while I only had 1 attack helicopter unit out. I did have some additional mech produced so I could ferry them up to the front, but at this point I think that's a little overextension. He should have produced some tanks instead. That being said, I move my helicopter up the next turn and start pushing into his infantry that he now has unsupported there, managing to keep it out of range from the AA that is moving towards me. And then finally, on day 12, I finally managed to start capturing the comm tower for once. With Cairn opting to attack my bike unit on that center city, he's placed his heavy tank on a roadway next to a 3-star defensive point. So I go ahead and take my light tank with my commander on it and engage him, 6 HP, and then I further bring down my second light tank that I had in the region and bring him down to 3 HP, severely reducing his presence on the battlefield. In the north, I don't have an effective anti-aircraft unit in range of the helicopter yet, so I opt to engage it with my sniper unit, and I get a little bit of chip damage on it, and then proceed to attack it again with my infantry unit there. Probably wasn't a good idea to do that. I was hoping to be able to pressure the helicopter further so that it wouldn't be able to engage my capturing infantry unit down there if he decided to push that way and kill it. But the next turn I get punished for that. So turn 12 for Cairn, she opens up and drops my infantry unit that I had attacking the helicopter, and then she moves in a supporting light tank in its position and destroyed my 6 health infantry that I had protecting the artillery's flank, allowing another light tank to move forward and engage the AA gun, dropping it all the way down to 2, which it makes it basically ineffective against any air units. To the south, she moves her low health infantry unit and engages my infantry on the comm tower to delay the capture for another turn, and then brings her attack helicopter down to engage my tank that I had on the road there to further weaken it. Turn 13, I open up with my co-power speed salvage, basically giving all my units a little firepower bonus and the ability to increase their health while they attack, giving them a little bit of lifesteal. I start off in the top, attacking the tanks that pushed into my forces the previous turn. Pretty much mopping up what little presence they have there. I managed to wipe out the furthest east tank with my motorcycle unit, and I put my AA gun on the city to heal up a little bit. I reinforced the mid with another tank and a APC with a mech unit in it, and then moved to engage the anti-aircraft gun in the mid so that I can bring my helicopter into the mid without having to worry about too much anti-air threat. Cairn's response to this is bringing her helicopter back out of the mid and going north, sacking the artillery that I have up there, and then destroying the low health anti-aircraft unit that I had placed on the city the previous turn, which put me in quite the predicament because I chose not to reinforce with an anti-aircraft gun last turn, rather opting to buy an artillery and a battlecopter of my own. With the beginning of turn 14, I finally managed to capture the comm tower and move my tanks in the south to engage his reinforcements that are in the area. I take out his tank with 2 of my tanks down there. I finish building the temp airport, and then I move the mech into the APC. The helicopter that I had sitting on the mountains there, I move up into the mid and engage one of his infantry that was capping the center city again, and then I move my commander unit to remove his commander unit, and that's significant because it drops the code meter down by 20%, knocking him off a full star so that he can't use his co-power the next turn. Up north, despite the threat posed by his battlecopters, I continue engaging the tanks that he has up there with my armor, and continue reinforcing that with what little I have to keep holding the line, as he doesn't have any armor up on his north end anymore. I just have to worry about keeping my units alive from the motorbike and the battlecopter presence. Beginning at turn 14 for Cairn, she made a mistake of driving up to my commander unit with her heavy tank without replacing her co-unit onto the heavy tank, which would have significantly increased the damage done and forced me to retreat with it. Her helicopters continue their rampage up north, deleting one of my tanks that I had used in the prior engagement up there, and then moves to reinforce in the south with some more anti-aircraft guns and a heavy hover tank. With the reduced range of heavy hover tanks, I take my time in the south to shore up the line a little bit and start capping with the mech, further increasing the building cap lead that I've managed to gain at this point. Up north, I'm forced to throw my sniper and some more infantry at the helicopters that I have to contend with up there, trying to weaken them down. I even use my tank once it's gotten down to half health to try and reduce it even more. While in the mid, I pincer the heavy tank that he has up by the mountain range with my light tank, and then move to engage it with the helicopter unit to put some hurtin' onto it. And then I end my turn producing a crystal tank, a mech, and a light tank in the south. Day 15, Cairn has enough for her superpower, which she uses immediately, Force of Nature, which returns 1 HP for units that drive over forest units, as well as increase her firepower for 10% and lowers the enemy's defense by 10% for each wilderness terrain star. She puts her commander in a light tank that she had sitting on the capital and immediately drives up and destroys my tank with the combination of her light tank and heavy tank, and then move out with her helicopters to harass my infantry. To the south, she drives forward with her heavy hover tank and hits one of my light tanks down there, pretty much sacrificing it to all the lighter units that I have down there in the helicopters. Turn 16, I start off by swatting down some helicopters. I take one out with my sniper, and then I drive my other helicopter up to engage the one just north of the mountain range there. I also try and knock it out with my commander unit, but I end up having to finish it off using the mech there. Moving south, I open up against the heavy hover tank with the helicopter, and then continue the attack with my light tanks to finish it off. Cairn's turn, she starts out by mopping up the units that I have to the south side of the mountain range in the mid, and then puts some damage on my helicopter unit and destroys an infantry up in the north that is blocking for my artillery. In the south, she takes her turn to reform the battle line with a pair of tanks. Turn 17, I managed to acquire my superpower, which when used allows me to heal for the same amount of damage that my units deal out to the enemy, which is helpful healing them up from chip damage that they might have had throughout the battle. Turn 17 for Cairn, she has enough on her co-meter to use her power, Call of the Wild, which reduces her movement costs over Wilderness by 1, and also gives her indirect units a 1 range buff. This is one of the few times that you get to see it, but it allows her units to double their terrain bonus for defense on Wilderness tiles on both mountains and forests, as well as rivers, but there are no rivers on this map. And she spends the turn destroying the gains that I managed to grab with my superpower, and she manages to delete one of my forward infantry units with her sniper due to the increased range. The last couple of turns here I spend mopping stuff up, trying to get my crystal tank into range so I can fire it once. I should have planned ahead a little better with the crystal tank and maybe deployed it in the south and then got a transport plane so I could move it up a little faster so it could have a little more impact in the battle. Up in the north, I managed to secure a battle line forward of the comm tower and managed to start capping the comm tower, returning the favor for half the battle I spent trying to capture mine. We decided to let the game play out to turn 21 when the game decides who wins based on the amount of properties that they own. So I'll let you sit back and enjoy the final moments of the battle here, where you see everything get mopped up and you see a little bit of crystal tank action. And I'll see you in the results. Starting off with the funds here, everything looks normal until we get to day 7. Upon going back and reviewing the video, I found out that Cairn only built a sniper unit on day 7 and left 2 of the factories idle, opting to go for a heavy tank, a medium tank, and a infantry the next turn. It's not ideal to leave your factories idle. You want to be constantly producing units regardless of their unit value, because the more units you got on the field, the more potential moves you can make with them. But we're all guilty of it, so really, who am I to judge? Next up here we got income and buildings. They pretty much match each other because the only difference you're going to get is comm tower here and there. And you can tell as we go all the way into the mid game, the values are the same for both players, and then slowly go in favor of Sabaki into the late game. Moving on to player strength here. This is measured using current funds plus the income and the current army value that you have deployed on the field. Both of us remain pretty even until we get to turn 11 and 12, which the first real engagement started in the game with the attack on my comm tower there, and then later on the retaliation and the destruction of Cairn's heavy tank / commander unit. And from that point on, the gap between the two players continued to increase till the end of the game. Moving on to stats here, I ended up being able to pump out 27 various infantry units, 14 tanks, 3 crystal tanks, which of 2 of them did not see combat. I'd have to say probably the MVP probably went to my battle copters. I managed to keep all 3 of them alive throughout the game, and one of my 3 bar copters was able to make it all the way north and help suppress the helicopter threat coming from the north. Swapping over to Cairn's units here, he managed to pump out a whole 17 infantry types, 11 tanks, 3 heavy tanks, 4 battle copters, and 6 AA guns, although 4 were destroyed. I think had he been more patient with the use of the heavy tanks, coupled with the light tanks and the battle copters, he would have been more effective at punishing my units when I pushed into the middle. And that brings us to our final results. I ended up grossing 386, while Cairn got 281 here. The biggest factor being the technical score, which is essentially a KD ratio along with how many units you built and the amount of production you have at your disposal. So that brings us to the end of the video here. Special thanks to Cairn for participating in our little tournament. We try and do this over on the Commander Wars Discord 1 game a Saturday, and then generally we play a multiplayer game after that. So if you like what you see, check the links in the description, and thank you to Robosturm for making this possible. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.